Hello, hi everyone. In this video, I would like to explain you how to create a bucket group breakdown in order to achieve, in order to get this result, in order to have the score sheet that I have right here. So the first thing that we have to understand, we are working on performance analytics module, and we have to understand what is indicator score, indicator source, indicators, breakdown source, what is a bucket group, and what is a breakdown script. So I'm going to explain you how do we get to this result. At the same time, I will be defining all the different terms that I just introduced right now. Okay, so the exercise to have this one is also available in the learning path and is under reporting analytics. You have to look for performance analytics, and in the end we have an optional exercise which is bucket group. We are going to do the same exercise, but in the end I will do a different thing to view a different result. Okay, um, so the first thing is what we have in our score sheet. Okay, let's look at our score sheet. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So we have a score sheet which is done on the Need IT application. So the Need IT application you have to install from the GitHub repository. If you have a developer instance, you can have it very easy. Whatever the exercise that you are doing, the first instruction is to know how to install this application. So that's an essential. We are going to work on this application specifically. So here I have the result for the whole month July 2018 to January 2019. For each month I have a score, an indicator score, 189. These are 189 records which were due monthly for the month of July 2018. What I have more here, I have the breakdown. I have the breakdown, and it's divided by two, sorry. And we have need IT request by month offs. So I have the first off from 1st of July, for example, here, and to 14, and then from 15 to 31. So I have 77 requests for the month of July which were due monthly, and 112 requests which were due monthly for the same month, and have for the whole period. So how do we get to this result? The first thing, how do we get 189? So before even understanding what is an indicator, we have to understand what is an indicator source. So as you know, in ServiceNow, we have a lot of different tables. The indicator source is basically a refined data from a specific table. So let's say here we are working on the need IT table, right? So we want all the result to be refined. I mean, all the records that we have in the ServiceNow table, specifically on the need IT table, we want to refine the data to have a different source, and that source will have only the records which were due monthly. So all the records which were due monthly will be available on the indicator source level. So when you're creating the indicator source, all you're doing is refining the data from the ServiceNow table. That's the definition. And then we have the indicators. So what the indicators, this is the number that we have here, 189. So this represents how many requests which are due per month. Okay, so when you are creating the indicator, you are going to use a function, a count function, which is going to send a, for example, a query to the indicator source and say just count how many requests were due monthly. So here we are looking at this indicator. You can have a different type of result. Here we are looking at how many requests which are due monthly. So that's how we get 189. The number 189 is because we have created an indicator, and that indicators we have said this is the function, go and count how many records which were due monthly. So that's how you have to understand what is the indicator source and what is the indicators, the difference in between them. And then we have the breakdown. Breakdown is basically, as I explained, is going to divide the result 189 into two parts, the first half of the month and the second of the month. Here specifically we are looking at bucket breakdown. We can have a different breakdown. We can create a breakdown for priority. We can have like what is the, we can divide the result by priority, but that's not what we are doing right now. but we are going to divide the result by for the month. So we are going to divide the month by 2, and then we will have a certain result for the first half and the second half, so on. So how do we get to this result? That's also we have to understand. How do we create the breakdown, what the breakdown should have as elements inside them to have this 77 and 112. Okay, so the first thing is to know how to create the bucket group. So what is the bucket group is doing? The bucket group is basically going to divide the month by 2. It's all it's doing, nothing else. It's going to take the month that you're and then divide by 2, like the first half and second half. You're going to insert some information when you're creating the bucket group, just the information needed to separate the month, nothing else. And we have to create what we call the breakdown source. So we will have the source, and here the source will be the bucket group. So when you are creating the breakdown source need IT request by month of, it will have the bucket group in its configuration. That's the second thing that we have to know. And the third thing is the breakdown script. The breakdown script, what it's going to do actually is, for example, if I take here, I'm going to need IT application. If I go and click on all, have 4 records. Okay, each record has when needed field. Okay, that's when the request need to be fulfilled. And here I have the date 13, so tomorrow, and then I have the rest of the records for 22, 25, and 29 of this month. Okay, so it's going to pick up here the script that we are going to write is going to pick the date and then compare the date, and then no, it's just going to pick the date and that's it. It's going to return the date. That's all it's going to do, the breakdown script, nothing else. It's going to, for all records available on the need IT table, and look for the when needed field and look what is the date that we have and pick that date. That's all it's going to do. So everyone has his own job here. The bucket group is dividing the month, and the breakdown source will have the bucket group as a source, and the breakdown script will have only the job to return the day of the when needed field from the need IT application, all for all records. And we have what we call the breakdown mapping. So as we have all this information available, we are going to map. We are going to say, hey, this is the day I'm getting, and this is how the data is separated in the bucket group. Just do a mapping, which, because you have now the day, like the first of the month. So if you have the first of the month, just put that specific record. Let's say I have the record here for 13 for tomorrow. So it's going to be, so we have 13 as a day. So it's going to be on the first of the month. This thing is done. This is the entire work of the bucket group breakdown, is separating the data by looking at the date and also doing the mapping, and also you have all the information available. So we have the bucket group, we have the breakdown source, and you have the script, and you do the mapping in order to do the separation. So that's a lot of information right here, but when I'm going to do the exercise, it's going to be much more explicit. So that's the thing here. So here we have to as well understand we are working on the need IT table in general, because we are not saying take only the records which were due monthly. We are working on all records available. We don't know if they are due monthly or not due monthly, because we have written the script in this way and we are going to do it in this way. But the fact we are adding the bucket group breakdown to the indicator, which will have only a specific result, which is all the records due monthly, it will have, the breakdown will have only the result for all the records which were due monthly. That's how we get the result. And in the end, we are running, because here we have, each one has a specific job. As indicator source, we have a certain data, indicator is returning a certain number, bucket group breakdown is separating the data. But here the data collector is going to collect the data for a certain period from July to January 2019. So we have the result for the whole period. So that's how you have to understand. Maybe it's not clear, but if you do a lot of exercise, it will come. It will. That's how I get it. So now let's begin to create our first thing, which is creating the bucket group. I will go along the exercise that we have here in order to just pick the title that we have, so it's much more easier. So let's create the bucket. So we have it everything in my favorites. So I'm going to click on the bucket groups and I'm going to create a new one, and here we have this title, the following description is going to be 114. Here's the number 1, here's the number 15, and here I'm going to put 1531, and here you have 1532. Okay, so there is a specific rule here that you have to understand when you are separating the month into two parts. This is the period you want from 1 to 14 and 15 to 31. We assume here the month goes to until 31 to not make any mistake. And when we are mentioning what is going to be the start field and the end field as a date, like in the here in the terms, here we have to put the first day here, the first number, like here, number 1, you put the exact one here, the start field, because it's called inclusive. The start field is inclusive, it's taking the number 1. But if you want to have until 14, and you have to put in the end 15, you have to add 1 because it's exclusive. That's how it's explained. So if you follow this logic, whatever the period you want to create, all you need to do is to understand if you want 31 until 31 is you have to put 32. That's it. So if you follow this logic, it's fine. So I'm going to just submit it. Monthly hours. We have created the first thing, which is the bucket group. Now we have to create the breakdown source. Okay, so I'm going to look for breakdown source. It's this one. Click on new. Okay, and this is going to be my title. This is going to be the description, and is going to be our source. As I explained in the beginning, is going to be the bucket. So bucket ID, and it's going to be the bucket, and the bucket we have created. It's going to be monthly hours. Okay, so that's all we need to do at this point. Now is the time to create the script. So let's create our script. So I have the performance, under performance analytics, I have the script. So I'm going to click on new and go back here. Just pick the title. It's going to be need IT day. Going to be this one, and the table is going to be run on the need IT table, right? So I'm going to choose the need IT table. Just take the script. So the script is what is doing, it's only taking the date from the when needed field and returning, and the date will be in the variable when needed, and that's it. So we're going to mention which field here. Okay, submit. Great. So at this point we have created 3 things. We have created our bucket group, we have created our breakdown source which has the bucket group, and we have created our breakdown script. Now we have to create the bucket group breakdown itself, which will be mapping, which will have in this configuration the breakdown source and mapping to this. Okay, we'll have in this configuration the breakdown source and the script, and it will be mapping. Okay, so all we have to do, we have to go to breakdowns. This is the breakdown source. This is breakdown. I'm clicking on new. I'm just going to pick the title. So the name of the breakdown is going to be this one. And this is the description. I'm going to click on that and look for the breakdown source that we have just created right now, which is need IT request by month of. That's what we have created just before. Okay, so I forgot to do one thing, which is going back here, the mapping. So I'm going to, so we have mentioned what is the source. So we have created our bucket breakdown with this title, and we have mentioned what is the breakdown source. The breakdown source, we now obviously have the bucket group, so this is done, but we haven't mentioned we're going to use the script, and it's going to be to the mapping job. Okay, so here we go to breakdown mappings and click on new, and here we are going to look for need IT, and it should be need IT date. Okay, submit. Great, we have done our mapping as well. So if I go back to the exercise, we have done this part. At this level, we have finished it. Now what we have to do is we have created our bucket group breakdown, which is like generally separating data for all the records. But the fact we are going to add this breakdown to the indicator is going to return the specific result that we want, which is 77,112, which is taken from this one, because this is the indicator source that we have here. So we have to add the bucket group breakdown to the indicator. That's the fifth step. So I'm going here, which is this part of the exercise, and I'm going to look for the automated indicator, so this one, and look for, it's better to type like this maybe. Okay, it's fast like this, and I'm going to add on the breakdown level the breakdown that we have created. So need IT request by month of. I'm going to put it in the slush bucket here and save it. Great. So at this point, we have done pretty much almost everything needed. Now we have to run the data collector, go and collect the data in order to display to this result. It's not going to be exactly the same numbers because I don't have the same records. All I have is 4 records created recently. So if I want to show you, I'm going to click on all. I have only those 4 records. These 4 records were only created for September. So I will have only result for September. So I'm going back here and perform an analytics job and look for need IT historical data. So here I'm not showing you how to create the indicator source and indicators. These exercises are already available on the first part of the performance analytics learning path. So that's one thing. So here I'm going to directly run it. So it's already created. I'm going to execute. Okay, so I'm going to refresh because we should have here number 1 because we are running, and we should have one job, and you can see here I have a job log is collected. Perfect, there is no warning. And now we are going to look at the result. So here again I'm going at this level, I'm going to click on show scores for this indicator. So it should show me for the month of September. As you can see here, for the month of September, I have 4 records as indicator source score, and I have 1 for the beginning of the month and 3 for the the second half of the month. Okay, and here if I go here, you can see I have one record 13 like tomorrow, and then the rest of the remaining records all the when needed field is from 22. So now let's, as we know now how to create a bucket group, let's create a different one. Let's have a weekly view. So what we have to do, if I go back to this image, what I have to do is to create another bucket group which will have the separation, will have a configuration, a different configuration, and then I have to add this bucket group to the breakdown source as a source, and I have nothing else to do. So once I have done that, I can run the same data collector, do the same job, have another job, and you will have a different result. Let's do that. So I'm going back here, I'm going to the bucket, I'm going to create a new one. Okay, so it's going to have, let's say, weekly view, and I'm going to put 17, okay, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to 31. So I have divided the month into 4 parts, and the first one will have 1, here 7. So as it's inclusive, I'm going to just take the same number, 14, 21, and here it's going to be 8, it's going to be 15, it's going to be 22, it's going to be 32. Great. So I have created the bucket weekly view. Okay, let's put it in this way. Just name it weekly views. Maybe it's going to update it. Let's see if it's changed. Okay, great. Have created. Now what we have to do is to go to the breakdown source and look for the need IT request by month. Off is not off. I'm going to keep the same title for now just to show you the result. I'm going to change it later. So here I'm going to look for weekly views, and I'm going to save that one. Great. So now if I run again the job and then look at the scores in the score sheet, it should have 4 different rows. So let's go here on the performance analytics jobs and then click on need IT historical data and execute now. I should have a job log, another job log, so it should be 2. It's not collected, so I have to wait a little bit. Grade is done. So now I'm going to the indicator, I'm going to click here, and again here. Okay. Now I'm going to view the scores for this indicator. Even though the title, okay, not the title, is month by month offs, it's not month off. As you can see here, we have 4 different rows. We have the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, and I have no records for the first week, but I have for the second week 1 record, because if you remember, it was created on the 13th, and the rest of the records were created from 22. Okay, 22, 25, 29. That's why we have 3 here. So that's how you can have a score sheet, and how we can create a bucket group breakdown. Hope you got the understanding what is the indicator source, what is breakdown, what is a data collector, a general overview, how to do this exercise, and it's good to do a lot of different exercises in order to really know how this thing works. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.